This is Riley McShane. I'm with Legion on Metal Blade Records, and you are watching the Buzz Artist Spotlight.
Nothing is surrounds. The sound of screaming silence is all encompassing. Something coming from the shroud, the howl of fearsome specters and form identity. Beyond the gray, a storm is shaping, bringing pride and violent shaking. With the bells, the ghost awakens, speaking in the mental language, forming thoughts and conversations. From his shell, the ghost awakens, singing spells of might and matrix. I am awakened.
So the band started, oh man, like almost 10 years ago, much long before my time with the band, in Fort Collins, Colorado, under the name Allegiance. From what I understand, they got like 3 or 4 cease and desist orders like within the same week from a bunch of other bands with the same name. So they were just like, oh, well, what can we change this to? How about Legion? Let's throw too many vowels in there, and it'll be fine. So that's kind of how it all started. I believe it was the guitar player Ryan Gleason, and then they had a vocalist whose name I can never remember. I want to say it was like JP or something. I took the place of Ezra for this last album, Proponent for Sentience, and now, and then our bass player Corey left to go to law school, and we just got this new guy, Brandon Michael, and I think that this is like finally, after all those member changes, like the lineup that we're gonna stick with for, in time immemorium kind of deal. I mean, Greg has been there since the beginning, and he's always kind of kept that like a Legion sound really, really well intact. He has a very distinct writing style, but he always kind of splits the writing duties between himself and the other guitarist. And when Mikey came in to take the place of Ryan Gleason, it was such a like natural progression. That's kind of something that's always happened with the band member changes, is that Greg's always, when he does member changes, it's never the kind of thing where he wants to, just replace someone, like just to fill the spot. He always like spends time looking and making sure that whoever it is that we get as a new member is going to be, an improvement to the sound and like really add a new dimension to it. And with Mikey coming in on guitar after Ryan, he really did just that. And then now with this new record and our new bass player, same deal. So still that same core Legion sound, but definitely a lot of growth musically between albums and between members. Proponent for Sentience was a concept album, is a concept album. And basically it's kind of rooted like heavily in science fiction, with a few like touches to real world, sciences and particularly the field of robotics. It is kind of like the age-old story of, artificial intelligence gaining its own consciousness or its own sentience, and, developing intelligence and like learning about the history of humanity, and then ultimately just kind of deciding that like humans are terrible and just like wiping the human race off the face of the planet. But there's little bits of like philosophy mixed into the lyrics as well, with consciousness and the development of consciousness. Like that's such a loaded question, you know what I mean? And especially, in the development of consciousness in like an artificial brain kind of scenario, the kind of talking about like how that could possibly happen and what kind of ramifications that could have, on like a new mind and all that kind of stuff, is definitely also part of the lyrics and something that we wanted to explore. So not only is it very science fiction based, but it's also, very, very much kind of rooted in social commentary and philosophy and on all that kind of stuff. So I don't personally think that robotics or the field of robotics are at the point now where something like that could happen, where an artificial brain could gain consciousness. But if you look at a lot of the advancements in the fields of robotics that are happening right now, there's definitely like language developments going on. So a lot of theories about like consciousness and where it came from starts with like communication and the development of language. Like that's kind of what separates humans from animals, is tools and language. And so with these new advancements in robotics, they're kind of starting with that language element of it, and not only programming it, programming machines with like preset, dialogues, but kind of, creating neural networks that are allowing certain models of machines to kind of like formulate sentences on their own. And granted, like the sentences are super, nonsensical and don't, equate to anything, but it's like very, baby steps towards a greater goal. So at this point, I definitely don't think that, robots are going to take over the world or develop any kind of consciousness, but it's always a fun, little science fiction wormhole to dive down. And it's not too far-fetched to imagine that, within the next 50 to 100 years, if things keep advancing at the rate that they're doing, that you could have conscious machines, rolling around among us. But as far as global domination goes, I think that, scientists are smart enough, I hope, to put fail-safes in place, as they continue to develop robotics. Proponent for Sentience came out just about a year ago, little over a year ago. I believe it came out September of 2016. So, we've been touring since and playing shows here and there, and but definitely writing more material. And we're at the point now where we have, definitely a good amount of songs, enough to send a few to the chopping block kind of deal. And then yeah, we're gonna kind of just fine tune the ones that we choose, and hit the studio. We have a couple other tour ideas going around that we're flirting with management and booking and all that kind of stuff, that might be happening early next year. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. That's definitely going to be something that we're gonna have to work around with scheduling and putting in our calendar to make sure that we get this new album recorded. We have playlists up on Spotify. I actually learned something really cool. I don't know if you're a Stranger Things fan, but Spotify made playlists for like every character in Stranger Things, and our song "All Hail Science" made it onto the Demogorgon playlist, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. So good on you, whoever made that playlist. But yeah, Spotify, iTunes, all over the interweb, Twitter, all that good stuff. You can find us and stay posted on updates. We also started a Patreon late last year, in which we offer all kinds of stuff, particularly at this point in time, like tour updates and show recaps and all that kind of good stuff. Hi, my name is Riley McShane, and you've just been buzzed.